And it's Mr. Gibbons. Oh my
Hello.
goodness, he's got the Christmas jumper on. It's the
Ta-da!
it's the Christmas edition of the podcast, so Martin has got his jumper on with reindeer and Christmas trees.
It's got to be done.
You and
It's got
I
to
are
be
sitting
done.
here in our burgundy sort of tops, not being too Christmassy, Tim, but
Not too Christmassy. No,
it is
no.
November.
Yeah,
I dug it out specially for the podcast.
quite
Excellent.
right too.
It's got to
Yeah.
be done, hasn't it? It's got to be done.
It has.
Gotta be
yeah,
done.
Yeah.
So, are we ready?
I think so.
Ready as we'll ever be, eh?
Let me just check again that I'm recording. Testing, testing.
You have been tested. It's come back
Am I
positive
recording?
for Tim.
Yes, I think I am.
Excellent.
This isn't the BBC Light programme.
The Tony Hancock Appreciation Society presents, very nearly an armful, a Tony Hancock podcast.
Hello and welcome to Very Nearly an Armful, brought to you by the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society.
On the podcast, we'll be discussing Tony's famous series, Hancock's Half Hour.
We'll discuss the show, its production and what we liked about it.
We'll rate and review the episode and just generally get our geek on about vintage comedy.
We're your hosts. I'm Martin Gibbons.
I'm John Street.
And I'm Tim Elms.
And we're spread across the southeast of the UK in a line from Colchester to Benfleet via Maidstone.
And our members are spread all over the world. We have some new members in Watford, Pinner, Pett, and possibly our very first member in New Zealand.
Fantastic.
Well, there we go. I'd say good day, but that's the wrong country.
Members all over the world.
All over the world.
None in this country, but all over the world.
And in this podcast, we'll be discussing Hancock's 43 Minutes, the 12th and final episode of the third TV series, as suggested by Jeff Hewson. This episode was broadcast live on Monday the 23rd of December 1957. It's an unusual episode of Hancock's Half Hour, 43 minutes, with Tony and Sid playing their sitcom characters who are utterly failing to produce a variety programme.
But first of all, chaps, what's everyone been up to this week?
Well, I've had a paintbrush in hand this week and have decorated the little study room where we're recording this podcast. So I finally got because the walls had got a little grubby from the previous owners of our house, and I finally got round to tidying it up. So it's rather nice.
So they've been covered in murals of these beetroot purple hairy birds, have they?
Oh, that's what. Yeah, absolutely. How did you know? So yeah, that's what I've been doing. And I'll tell you what I'm about to do. I know we normally say what we've done, but what I'm about to do is to start to watch Stranger Things on Netflix. I've seen the first few series, however many years ago it was. And as the new series is the final one, I thought I'd better start back at the beginning so I could actually work out what was going on when we got to the final episode. So I'm about to start to rewatch that. I really enjoyed that first time round. So that's on the list for later this week to start.
Yes, but it's quite bingeable, but because you binge it and watch it all at once, you can't generally retain what the plot, because you haven't got a week to think about it between episodes, have you? So it all kind of merges into one sort of memory of stuff after a couple of years when they come to a new series of these type of things.
Yeah, so I think starting at the beginning sounds like the best thing to do.
Definitely. Well, I've been watching a little bit of Absolutely Fabulous. Of course, it's June Whitfield's centenary at the moment, and Ab Fab is all the episodes are available on the BBC iPlayer as of yesterday, as of we record this.
Oh, fantastic.
So they're available for over a year for people to watch, and I thoroughly enjoyed seeing Juna's mother, who appears only in a flashback in the first episode and then appears proper in the modern day in the second one with a few nice cutting quips like, I've there's this skinny bird inside me who's, just trying to get out. And you go, oh, just the one, dear.
Round the living room, dear?
No. We're across Mead Road, round Elgin Place, right round the crescent, across the traffic lights, then back here.
The end of the road and back.
Yes.
How long have we got left?
4 days, darling.
Shouldn't eat so much, little piggy.
I'm not eating anything. I'm living on air and mung beans.
You've got your grandmother's hips.
Well, that's thanks to you. I mean, thanks to all the chips and lard and potatoes and white bread and suet pudding covered in treacle I had to eat as a child, darling. You know, the endless cups of sugary tea and
Mr. Whippy.
biscuits and chips and meat fried in 6 inches of animal fat. Thanks to that.
Before we had the deep freeze.
Oh, God, even then it was the same food, only colder. I mean, honestly. And do you know, darling, the real problem started, sweetie, because I wasn't even breastfed.
Oh, don't be ridiculous, dear. It wasn't done in those days. Imagine me having that clamped to my breast.
Anyway, sweetie, can I just say that at least you're not fat like me? I mean, what you two don't seem to realise is that inside of me, there's a thin person just screaming to get out.
Just the one, dear.
The cutting line from June Whitfield, so that was quite enjoyable. It got me thinking about Happy Ever After, which was 1974, precursor to Terry and June. And there is a ropey copy on Dailymotion that I watched, and I discovered another Hancock link in that one, because you've got Michael Ripper as the hotel porter, who was, of course, in the Punch and Judy Man. So that was quite interesting.
Because June was in. She was a great friend of Hancock, and she first worked with him in the 1956 series on ARTV. She was then in Hancock's Half Hour on BBC. She was in Hancock on BBC, and then finished up in Hancock's on ABC TV.
In 1967, yeah.
Over a period of about 11 years, she worked on all these shows with him.
Yeah, it's because she was in, as you say, she was in the very first series on ITV, and then the last series proper that Tony was in on ITV. She was in that as well. So, as you say, it spanned his entire television career.
Other than Tony, she has the distinction of being the only actor who's in the first episode of Hancock's Half Hour and the final episode of Hancock for the BBC. Or the first existing, surviving, I should say.
Yes.
The Alpine Holiday,
The Alpine Holiday, yes.
Yeah. And she came to one of our dinners some years ago, a bit before my time. Was you there, John or Martin?
I was not, no. It's before my time as well, sadly.
Yeah, before my time at the dinners, yes.
Quite by chance, I got a package in a post today from Richard Usher, who's one of our members and is also one of the people with the Goonshaw Preservation Society. And he's sent me a few things on occasions that have turned up in their archive that are probably more appropriate for our archive. And one of our former members and his former members had a collection of photographs which Richard has passed on to us, and they are photographs taken at Hancock Society events. And there are some pictures of June in that at our events, and there are also some pictures of people like Hugh Lloyd and Richard Bryars as well. So they'll be lovely to add to our archive.
Oh, that's really lovely, and thank you so much to Richard for those, because that's a really nice thing to add.
Yeah. Well, I've been watching some telly this week. Am I allowed to talk about Celebrity Traitors, because that's dominated my life for the last couple of weeks? So this podcast will be going out in December, but back in beginning of November, as I should think most people in the world are aware of, Celebrity Traitors went out. I won't spoil it by saying who won it or whatever, because I'm sure there are people who still haven't watched it. It's still available on the iPlayer. So I don't like to spoil these things, but it's a great series. But also it's got some brilliant classic comedy connections with the people on it. So contestants included Celia Imrie, who is many people regard her now as a national treasure, one of our great actors. Oh, yeah. But she actually started off, or one of the first things she did was in Victoria Wood on TV in Acorn Antiques. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It got its own spin-off after a while, but she played the part of one of the people who co-owned the shop with Victoria Wood, and that was back in 1985. So that was 40 years ago.
Gosh, I am awful. Here I am blabbing away about my own troubles, and I forgot to ask you about your husband's car crash.
Oh, he's dead, Miss Babs. Yes, in fact, I was going to ask you if I could have a couple of hours off on Thursday for the funeral.
Of course. Just pop back at 5 for the hoovering. What happened?
His heart stopped beating. Yes, well, sometimes that's God's way of telling you you're dead. Never mind, it's bingo tonight.
Then we had Stephen Fry, or Sir Stephen Fry, should I say, who, of course, we know and love from Blackadder and Fry and Laurie. He was also in the episode of The Young Ones when they had
the University Challenge. Yeah.
Yes, Scumbag College or something, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
That was an early piece of him.
Thrashed! We're getting completely thrashed! Isn't there some way we can cheat?
Guys, look, it's beginning to seep out, guys, please.
It's very simple, Neil. Use the jug.
No, I'll have to hurry you. Who is the richest person in the world?
Footlights, snot. It's me, isn't it?
No, I'm afraid not. Your father's multinational collapsed only this morning.
Oh.
So with the score still standing at 25-0, here goes.
I'm completely bloody sick of this! Give us some easy ones, Brandy! You big bottom ball!
Another contestant was Nick Mohammed, who has done quite a lot of stuff in recent years. But it's funny how one piece of work always stands out for these people in your mind. And I remember Nick in the Martin Clunes version of Reggie Perrin. And he was one of he and Jim Howick played the sort of two who were the replacements for the two Yes Men in the first Reggie Perrin, the first Anna Rossiter series. So so he was in that Reggie Perrin, and also there was Joe Wilkinson.
Oh yes,
I love Joe Wilkinson, and it's funny because watching him Celebrity Traitors was the first time I'd seen him out of character. He normally plays this sort of, wherever you see him on a panel show, even he gives the impression of being a bit dim, doesn't he? You know, and a bit slow. But he's actually, needless to say, a really clever chap. And seeing him as he really was on the Celebrity Traitors was brilliant. But he was one of the co-creators of the Cockfields, of which Series 1 included our good friend and mega Hancock fan, Diane Morgan. So there's a connection there.
You're definitely going to split up with me after this weekend.
Probably.
Mum and Ray are going to do your head. Hello, Mum.
Did you go very often?
No.
Well, that's why you're late.
Why is there a bread knife in the downstairs loo?
I don't eat enough vegetables or grains. Sometimes the flush isn't powerful enough, so it just needs a bit of persuasion.
Oh, God.
There's no getting away.
Hi, Dad.
From this family get-together.
Hi, son.
Have you dyed your hair, Dad?
I have. You know, I've had a lovely reaction from everyone I've met.
Yes, I remember James, formerly of the podcast, he'd recommended it to us, I think, on one occasion. I think it might be a Sky thing or something. I'll have to see if I can dig it out.
So it was great watching that over several weeks. I think it was 2 episodes a week up until the finale came on. And something like 12 million people watched the finale when it was on a Thursday night. So, very good TV.
Excellent.
Yeah, that sounds good. And as we've said before, it's amazing what connections there are.
Yeah.
They're just everywhere, aren't they? Which is just, it's just brilliant.
6 degrees of Hancock's Half Hour.
there was a series called Comedy Connections on TV some years ago. They're all on YouTube. You can get them on YouTube, and they're quite. I quite enjoy watching those and how they draw the lines between the different people and the different shows involved.
Yes, it was a good little documentary series. That ran for quite a while. I think there was a spin-off Drama Connections series that they did as well, but then they stopped. So then, I think it's time for some Hancock headlines. What's been happening in the news this week, Martin?
Well, probably, a few weeks ago, because we mentioned this to our members in our recent newsletter, but we were contacted by Steve Poppich from the Clitheroe Kid website, who advised that a colleague of his called Kevin had digitised, I think he said, about 90 reel-to-reel tapes and had put them on YouTube, and he spotted there were some Hancock tapes on there. And what was amazing was that one of them was an almost complete copy of the very first ever The Blackpool Show from 1966, whereas previously we'd only had a short extract from that. It's it's a really interesting piece with Tony. Definitely not happy the BBC were doing lots of repeats of Hancock's half hour at the time. Famously, we had heard that he'd forgotten the name of the act he was introducing, Ray Allen and Lord Charles. Hadn't got evidence until we found our short extract before. That's now all in this as well. And he does his, well, in fact, a couple of versions of his crooner sketch. So really nice, and it's not quite a full episode. It runs for about 39 minutes. And I think, well, it was an hour episode, less adverts. So that's probably about 45 minutes. So just one of the acts, not Tony, gets cut.
Have you gone raving mad? Are you sure that's my music? You were expecting Sonny Davis or somebody? I don't know that cheap American rubbish over there. As from now, your signature tune will be... I will not that. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel privileged and honoured to being called upon to address the nation on television. Some years since I graced the screen. Since then, one or two things have happened. First, there was the war. Then the general strike. I'm pleased to notice that the Hancock image has been perpetuated on BBC repeats and the Jack Jackson record programme. And if I either see or hear the blood donor ever again, I'll put my boots first in the spot. And just to scotch a little rumour while I'm on the subject, just to put you all at your ease, the best of Hancock will not be repeated for the 8th time again this year. I'm pleased to say the films have finally fallen to pieces and now in the Victoria and Albert Museum. Of course, it's all changed since my day, you know, all this. We only had one camera when I started. Used to follow you about all over the place, just one camera. Now you've got about 10. All get very involved. You've got little chalk marks all over the place and you've got to find the right mark at the right time. I don't know where mine is here at all.
So really nice, and it's on YouTube and it's available for our members to have a listen to as well. So it's amazing that we still keep finding lost materials. Lovely to find.
Yeah, and a lost soundtrack of a TV show, although not the same as having it with picture, is delightful when it, other than episode 2, I think, is the one that exists. Other than that, this is the only other recording, sound or any kind from that entire run.
It's just a soundtrack that's been found.
There's just the soundtrack, yeah, and the one that the one that survives as a video, which has been released on the Punch and Judy Man Blu-ray from Studio Canal.
Yes, it's one of those two, wasn't it? Yeah,
and that's the 7th episode from the series. That's the only one that survives in complete form with video.
Yeah, it's the Punch and Judy Man.
Yeah, nice to have that as an extra on that Blu-ray and DVD release, and to have the show within a Hancock release, which is great from Studio Canal. There we go. So something else now added to our archive.
Another excellent little bit of rare recording. So then, I think it's time for some tweets and emails. What's in your digital mail sack this week, young Tim?
Well, you may remember that recently, at the start of this series, we covered the radio ham, and one of the lines that Hancock uses that we mentioned was when he says that they're serving drinks after hours in the Three Kings in Agamemnon Road. I think we had a little discussion about Agamemnon Road. Well, we got a tweet from someone who's got the very slick Twitter handle called Hologramic TVC15. So Hologramic TVC15 tweeted a picture of Agamemnon Road in London. But what he said, and I'm not sure this has come up before, it was used for the outside shots for Mrs. Cravat's house in the Rebel.
Oh.
And the Rebel would have been made just before this series of Hancock that the radio ham was in. So it might have been a name that stuck in Ray and Alan's mind to use in the radio ham. You know, they like strange names of people and places. And I can imagine them being in Agamemnon Road thinking, well, that's a a funny, amusing sort of name, and then sticking it in the radio hand when they come to write that.
Well, that's how they came up with the character surname of Steptoe and Son. I think it was Steptoe and Figgis, a photographer's shop or some shop they'd seen, and they went, "Oh, Steptoe, that's an interesting name. We'll use that."
We also had I had an email out of the blue from a chap called Russell who lives down in Devon, and I think he'd found us via the website or something. But basically, he said that his late father had recorded radio episodes of Hancock's Half Hour on reel-to-reel tapes, and then had them transferred from reel to reel to cassette. And he's still got the cassettes. Would we like them? To which I replied, "Yes, please. Thank you very much."
Yes, please. Yes, please.
And they arrived this week, so I've got a little stack of cassettes here that I might have a listen to, but it's probably best for me to give them to you, John, at some stage. But I mean, it might just be the usual stuff that we know and love. But if they were recorded on reel to reel at first broadcast in the 50s, they might be slightly different to the versions we have, and they might have lines or scenes that were subsequently edited from the versions that we have. So it's possible. It might just be a word or two. It might be nothing, but we might have something there.
Yes, the most I've found, I think, previously from an episode that was an original recording, is that in an episode there's the laugh. They let the laughter die down. Someone takes a breath, and then they say the line. But as it is, that all you've got is essentially a little bit of the laughter dying down, the music starting up, and someone taking a breath. So it doesn't really add much.
Yeah, I try not to get too excited anymore when people send us tapes, because we always get, I always get quite optimistic, I always used to, and then of course have my hopes dashed. But
you never know. You never know. Of course, the one that is the regular is people think they found the breakfast cereal, which is a missing episode.
The election candidate.
But it's the election candidate has this long sequence around the breakfast table at the beginning, and often, always up until now, it's been that one. But let's keep fingers crossed.
And how Hancock won the war, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
People always think Hancock's War is that one.
Yeah.
I think the East Cheam Repertory Society episode is quite similar to the East Cheam Drama Festival, and of course, our subject for tonight has been occasionally called the East Cheam Repertory Society or Drama Festival. So there's an element of similarity where the titles are basically descriptors of the plot.
Yeah. Any episode titles on the cassettes, Tim?
Yes. So we've got one of them is called The Radio Program with Laurie Taylor Hancock. So I think, is that a documentary thing or something? So that's not Hancock's Half Hour.
That might be an interview or something.
Yeah, the name rings a bell, Laurie Taylor. I'll have to... one just says Tony Hancock. One says The Income Tax Demand, Almost a Gentleman, The Unexploded Bomb, The Americans, Hancock's Half Hour, Tony's Christmas. So that makes it sound like that. At least we know the title was written before the Wilmot titles, I should think.
Yes.
The Waxwork, The Impersonator. So there's quite a few tapes. There's about 8 or 9 tapes here, so we'll see what happens.
Quite a lot from the latter couple of series from the sounds of it, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Be nice if it was an extended one. Let's keep fingers crossed.
Indeed. As long as there's not another extended Fred's Pie Store and they go on even longer about...
Maybe.
Guess what, Tim? I think it might be one of those.
Go on, guess.
Go on, have a guess. Have a guess.
A new version with a 6-minute version of that would drive me nuts, I should think.
Just play it on a loop to you. If you ever go on a long car journey with me, I'm going to torture you with that.
Yeah.
On a loop.
Extend it to a full half hour, John.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hancock's 43 guesses.
Yes.
Hey, Tub, guess what?
What?
Go on, have a guess.
No. Come on, tell me.
No. Go on, you guess.
No, I can't. Come on, tell me.
Oh, no, that'd spoil it. Have a guess. Well, I don't know. Give me a clue. Ah, that'd be as good as telling you.
Oh, go on, don't be rotten. Tell me. Come on. I tell you everything I know, don't I?
Well, just have a try. Come on, just one guess.
How can I guess at something I haven't got the faintest idea about?
Funnily enough, I've had one this week from Matthew Newton, who says, I'm a big Samuel Pepys fan. And this has just popped up on a feed from a Pepys website. And it says that Samuel Pepys, in May of 1662, observed a Punch and Judy show performed by an Italian punchman named Signor Bologna at London's Covent Garden. And there is a plaque in Covent Garden that commemorates the event.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the whole Punch and Judy thing started with Samuel Pepys and the Punch and Judy Club, with whom we work on the festival at Bognor Regis now, celebrate this, and they have an event at Covent Garden every year for that very reason. So,
Fantastic. And it says that Pepys described it as an Italian puppet play that is within the rails there, which is very pretty, the best that I ever saw, and great resort of gallants. Love it.
Absolutely.
There we go. So that was from Matthew, so thank you for that. And the other thing is, I'm currently going through some old Society magazines to put a little article together for a current magazine, and I came across an interview with Patrick Cargill in which he talks about the radio ham. And he says that Patrick says he was in a booth halfway down the auditorium from the stage in order to create a different sound balance between Tony and Patrick when he was supposed to be 1,000 miles out to sea. When it came to the scene where Tony says, sorry, I've broken my pencil, have you got a shilling for the meter? Patrick says, I was supposed to get increasingly angry and lose my temper. This is for the Pyre recording, by the way.
The LP.
But he says he couldn't hear what Tony was saying. And for some reason, Tony couldn't hear him. So they started to shout at each other. He said, we both ended up ad-libbing that sequence. When it was played back, we were all surprised and pleased by the result and kept it in.
Oh, so that's the bit where he breaks down in tears and he says, "Get a grip, man."
That's the
Go
one.
on. That's the bit.
So it didn't go quite as planned, but actually it was brilliant.
I think it really worked. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, excellent.
Did you get that?
No.
Why not?
I had to go and get a shilling for the meter.
You're doing this on purpose. You want me to drown. You're mad, that's your trouble. You're raving mad.
Now, calm down, pull yourself together. It's no good bashing about in the bottom of your boat, trying and laughing and blubbering. Pull yourself together, man. It's your only chance. Right then. Stop it. Stop your space. Save your strength, please. Now then. That's more like it.
Yeah, it's funny what you can find in our own magazines, isn't it? You know, when you're researching stuff or looking for things, you suddenly come across little gems like that. I mean, what a lovely little story that is.
Yeah.
That's how I randomly found out who it was who discovered the recording of the Blackboard Jungle that we spoke about, because I was looking in an old magazine.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure it's not in the CD booklet. It just thanks the Society at large. So good to know.
One of the things we're trying to do is complete an index of the missing page in the magazines, and we've got some more work to do on that. But it'd be quite useful in looking things up. You know, if if you can look at an index and see there's an interview with Patrick Cargill, for example, it just makes things so much easier.
Yep. Well, the Society's been running 49 years this year, and it's four magazines a quarter. And in recent years, there've been the bonus pages, which makes it 8 magazines. So I say 4 magazines a quarter, 4 magazines a year, 1 a quarter, and another 4 bonus pages in recent years. So that's a lot of magazines over 49 years. Over 49 years, yeah.
It sure is. So then, I guess it's on to our main subject of Hancock's 43 Minutes. So what do you think of this one, guys?
Well, this is definitely not a go-to episode for me. But I've thoroughly enjoyed prepping for this podcast, and having watched it, I mean, I've rarely watched it, so I've watched it several times and I've listened to it loads of times, and I think it works actually quite well, and it reminds me in some ways of Morecambe and Wise in the 70s, and the play What I Wrote. And there's bits, and we can cover it off as we go through the episode. But there's other bits, and I think that could have been Eric Morecambe doing that. But it's interesting because I did read that Duncan Wood, who wrote to Ronnie Waldman, the head of Light Entertainment, and said the programme was a mistake, the worst in the series. And this is a bit harsh. Situation is the only medium for Hancock, and without it, he becomes a mediocre performer. That was in Richard Webber's book, 50 Years of Hancock's Half Hour.
I think it's very harsh, isn't it?
It just feels very, very harsh.
Duncan Wood was critical of a number of episodes of Hancock's Half Hour that we know and love, quite apart from this one.
Yes.
I mean, the sitcom ones. He didn't like. One of the ones, I think we mentioned this before, for example, was Lord Byron. And he said that was below par. Now, to me, that's a go-to television episode and one of the best.
Yeah.
I suppose, if it's your own work, you're your own worst critic, aren't you? So he might have not liked some of the technical stuff with the camera work or the cutting. He might have found the performance didn't quite the line, something that know.
Yeah. And we've had the same sort of discussion when talking about the Punch and Judy Man, because the people involved with the filming of it knew there were problems at the time, but when we the fans sit and watch it now, you're unaware of that. And it's like, I think we also mentioned John Cleese being critical about 40 Towers a couple of podcasts ago, and it's the same sort of thing. But I think it's a great episode. In fact, when I first got the box, when did the TV box set come out? It was in the 90s or something.
What, the DVD set?
Yeah, DVD.
Oh, I don't know.
It was about 2007. Let me just
I was just going to say 2007.
Well, when it first came out, I wasn't the fully rounded Hancockian I am today, and wasn't aware of Hancock's 43 Minutes. And I thought it was an extended version of the sitcom when I saw it on the disc. So I was a bit surprised. But I do like it. I think it's a great variety show, and it's different to the 1956 ARTV show, which is more of a sketch format. This is more variety with guest acts and stuff, and it's much more based on his stage show. And a lot of the material in this was just exactly what he would have done in the stage show, particularly during the early years. It's quite interesting. I think it was Richard Webber's book when they said it was Gordon and Simpson's idea to do this at the end of this series rather than anyone else's. And I think it was probably because there was some concern about Hancock being under a bit of strain at this time. And all this series had been done on a weekly basis, live, with no, and to go out, have a new script on a Monday morning and then, broadcast it live on the Saturday or whatever it was, and do that week after week is a huge strain. And it's about 60 pages of script every week for Hancock to learn, which he did learn then. And then, of course, you had the airfield at the bottom of the garden episode on the 16th, which, as every Hancock fan knows, turned out into a bit of a disaster. But he did that live. He did the airfield one on the 16th live. This went out. This was recorded on the 20th. Was it the 23rd?
23rd, Tim.
Yeah, it was broadcast live on Monday the 23rd.
But in between those two Hancock's half hours, he did Pantomania, which was a Christmas pantomime, which was recorded on the 17th. So he had so much going on at that time with these extra productions. Gordon and Simpson are not credited for writing anything on Pantomania, but I've got the feeling they may have been involved.
And I think that may have also gone out live, because I don't think any copies exist, certainly if it was recorded.
No, it was recorded on the 17th.
Okay.
It went out on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Right.
But it was a, they used to do these things on the telly back in the day, have a big all-star pantomime, and anyone who was anyone from the world of comedy was in that, what was it, Babes in the Wood or something. But so Hancock would have been involved in that, and I think that's why they thought it would be easier to do a variety format rather than come up with a new sitcom type episode. But I think it's good.
Yeah. So back to Pantomania, Hancock played Aladdin and Robin Hood, and Sid played the Genie and Friar Tuck. So I think it was a bit of a mashup of various pantomimes.
He's a bit different from Robin Williams, Sid James Genie. 3 Wishes.
A bit different from that one, yeah. But as you say, that went out 2 days later. But I think Ray and Alan obviously weren't happy with it. There's an airfield because the set collapsed partway through when it shouldn't have done. And I think Ray and Alan said they weren't keen on this one, or Ericsson, which was the next episode of Hancock's Half Hour.
The opening of Series 4.
The opening of Series 4. And in fact...
yeah.
And this one, Hancock's 43 Minutes, has never ever been repeated.
No.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, and it didn't end up on any of the videos. And in fact, when you look at the DVD set, you've got all of Series 3, and then as an extra is Hancock's 43 Minutes rather than which is a bit odd. But
in the DVD era was when it was first seen by people, and of course the DVD box set did come out 2007. Some of the individual volumes came out a couple of years before, but
a bit before
but
that,
not by much.
Although the box set, I think, just took different artwork, but the discs themselves,
except for that final disc, because the other episode is Hancock's Son and Heir.
Yeah.
Which has June Whitfield in it again in a little short dark wig, and that one wasn't included in the Hancock DVD previously, so that's on an extra disc with some then documentaries and things.
Yeah,
and some scripts, of course, if you stick it into a computer drive.
Yes, that's got all the scripts on. The other thing that surprised me, because I didn't realise, was that this wasn't from Riverside Studios, as per the rest of the series. This one came from the television theatre in Shepherd's Bush.
There we go.
Right, I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah, so this was I think this was the only episode that I'm aware of that had come from Shepherd's Bush in that Hancock's Half Hour series.
I wonder if they decided to do it fairly late in the day and Riverside was already booked or something.
Well, I mean, it's that time of year that there would have been a lot of Christmas programming being made, so it might be that they just had to go with whatever they could get.
Yes.
But this was a premiere show at the time, wasn't it? The third series, I'd have said.
Well, I was going to say, Hancock normally had first dibs at this sort of thing, didn't he?
Yeah. But maybe they need the bigger studio or a smaller studio because it's mainly one set, isn't it, essentially? Your stage that we're watching.
Oh, yeah, no, I think so. I mean, this must have come from what's now the Shepherd's Bush Empire, which is a music venue. So this came from a theatre stage with all the curtains and, the normal scenery, props around, it's like, as you say, it's like they filmed a theatre performance. Well, it was a theatre performance.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, I was thinking I would consider it sort of it's Galton and Simpson's sort of parody of a Christmas variety show almost.
Yeah.
With them playing their own themselves, but also mucking things up. And Sid comes in saying, "Well, we haven't got any acts. I gave you £100. Well, there's all this and that. How much you got left? 9pence.
9pence.
Those little moments I quite like. Those sort of sparring moments, but those are just punctuated throughout the episode, aren't they?
Anyway, I'm sure you're going to enjoy the acts he's got because I've every confidence in his choice. And well,
Think you can keep going another half hour?
What's wrong?
I'm having trouble with the acts.
Well, let me speak to him.
That's the trouble. We haven't got any.
Well, it's a fine time to tell me now we've started. You promised me faithfully, Sidney, a complete show by 8 o'clock. I gave you all the money for the acts out of my own pocket. What have you done with it all?
Well, you know how it is. It's Christmas time. You meet the boys, buy rounds of drinks in the pub.
I gave you £100. What size pubs do you go into?
Well, it's not only the pubs. It was your Christmas present.
Oh, yes. 1 ballpoint pen, 1 and 9. Go on.
Then there was phone calls, taxi fares.
Look. Just tell me, how much have you got left?
9pence.
And we haven't got anybody. 9pence. We're going to get a lovely all-star cast on that, aren't we?
To some extent, it's a parody of a variety. I mean, it is, in my view, it's a good Christmas variety for that time. By 1957 standards, I think that was a great thing to have. But it's also really a bit of a parody on pantomime, isn't it? Because that whole sketch at the end, which we'll come on to, is really in the realms of pantomime. Yeah. And it also reminds me of the 56 series when we reviewed Death of a Duchess. In fact, you had this series where the first half was like, the normal bits and pieces of sketch, and then you had this quite long sketch at the end of the Death of a Duchess, didn't you? And this reminded me of that, having a fairly, having all the bits and pieces and then going into this Three Musketeers that goes on for a little while.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's almost the whole. I think that runs for about 18, 19 minutes. That final sketch, and that is a whole second half of the program. I think the programming improves as it goes on. As it were, when John Vere appears dancing on glass and things, but that opening kind of stuff of I said to him, I want an hour, or I shall go over to the other lot. So I've got 43 minutes. Those little moments. And of course then you get a chorus of showgirls, which is about the only thing Sid has got. And that is Dawn White and the Glamazons. And fun fact, the Dawn White and the Glamazons were in the 1954 Royal Variety performance.
Oh, right. Okay.
Just 3 years before.
Yeah.
So they were obviously a large enough group at the time, but now forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I looked them up, I think were regular TV appearances in the 50s. I thought that was good. Going back to the opening speech from Tony, and he comes in and says, "Oh, what about the white jacket? It's a real one."
What about this then? Caught the jacket? It's a real one. Specially made for me by the BBC. I think one of the carpenters knocked it up. Still, the main thing is I've got it. The highest compliment the BBC can pay to an artist. White tuxedo, big orchestra, dancing girls. Yes, real live dancing girls. I bet that hasn't been done before. Of course it had to come. They couldn't keep on disappointing a man of my caliber. I told them, I said, I want the girls, mate, and the dancers and the singers. Fed up with doing this half an hour on myself on my own. Talking by myself all the time. I want the music and the girls, sitting there in the wings reading while they do all the work.
Come on, it wouldn't be a podcast without me saying there's a missing bit that's in the script.
Oh, is
that's
there?
that's quite unusual for the television. Yeah. He says, I travelled here to Shepherd's Bush at great personal expense. I wore out 4 pairs of shoes. Terrible time I had sticking my hand out at passing cars. Didn't get a single lift, and I had 4 pairs of gloves nicked.
That's quite good.
Which is quite good, isn't it?
That's almost like Kenneth Williams going, "Gee, I've come here all the way from Great Portland Street."
See, well, she hasn't come all the way from the north of England to be insulted.
I've come all the way from Great Portland Street, mate. How's that? I can sell them, don't worry.
As he often did on Just a Minute.
Just a Minute, yeah.
But it was like, well, all Sid's connections to the underworld. I mean, to the theatre world.
Theatre world, yeah.
That's quite fun.
Still, I'm pretty pleased, really. Things aren't going too badly. I think we've got a nice show tonight. Sid James actually has arranged all the acts because he's got a lot of good connections in the underworld. In the theatre world, I'm sorry. There's not much difference, really, quite frankly.
And, of course, then we have the Glamazons who keep trying to come on stage, and they're a group of larger dancing ladies. And I presume Dawn White is the only one that has the lines in it where they're arguing.
She must be the one who does the speaking, mustn't she?
Yeah.
Let them dance. Do me a favor.
No, what dance? What's it called? Elephants round a water hole? No, thank you. Get them off.
What's up, Sid? What's the matter with old Fatty?
Fatty? How dare you, madam? You stand there blocking out the arc lamps and call me...
I was going to say, as I was saying earlier on a little WhatsApp, it reminded me of Les Dawson, his Roly Polies, who were a group of larger dancing ladies in his shows, I think probably late 70s, early 80s.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very similar to that. I think they came back on 4 times during the episode.
Mm.
There was it was very, very much of its time, sort of, if you like, the fat jokes that we've talked about with Hatsy.
Yes.
But
they've got too much wind resistance.
There's too much wind resistance
one of
here.
More polite ones.
Yeah, and shaking the valves out of their sockets was another one, which I suppose dates it a bit. But
a little bit.
Well, what's the matter with you? What are you stopping them for?
Have you gone raving mad? There's valuable equipment in this place. They're shaking the valves out of the sockets.
All right, Dawn, you get back in the line. Don't worry about it. Look, they're the same as any other chorus girls. They're just a bit plumper, that's all.
But, Sid, this is important. This is my big chance. It's a prestige show. I've nothing against these women. I'm sure they're all fit and delightful. All very charming. But I want a streamlined chorus. There's far too much wind resistance here.
The idea of dancing girls linking arms on the stage has been, was quite popular at that time, wasn't it? I mean, I know in the 60s we had the Tiller Girls and things like that, but these sort of dancing troupes where you've got a line of women, I mean, normally they were very attractive Dolly Bird, if I'm allowed to say that, but that was the sort of thing they were. And this was, the
plus size version,
a parody of that,
Yeah.
the opposite of that, wasn't it? The women involved, we're not glamour girls by any stretch of the imagination, and that's what the joke was.
Glamorous, but larger, because I mean they look quite good, in their get up and stuff, and they can do the moves clearly from that little bit that you see before they try to shoved off the stage again,
and clearly watching their faces, they are enjoying themselves.
Yes, this is true.
I wonder how many of our listeners have actually seen this, because, as you said, it hasn't been repeated. It's not on TV unless you've got the box set of all the surviving episodes. You won't have this episode.
Or the individual volumes, because it was on the individual volume 3.
It was on that, was it?
Yes, it was.
Volume 3.
Yeah,
right.
Because the discs are the same.
A lot of the material in this program, of course, is very visual, and we're trying to describe it on a podcast, so it doesn't.
It's very visual. I mean, that whole first section. I mean, then you've got a few variety acts. So obviously you have Dido the chimp, which is entertaining. I remember the PG tips chimps when I was a kid and things like that. But I think watching it with a modern lens is a little bit different. It's clearly an act. But performing chimps is...
Animal acts were quite the thing.
Yeah.
It's of its time. It's like other things. I mean, Martin was talking about fat jokes just now. It's, when you're watching this sort of thing, you have to remember how things were. I mean, I used to go to the circus to watch performing lions and tigers and stuff. I mean, that's been, that hasn't been done for donkey's years now. And I think in one of the radio episodes, Hancock mentions a dog act in a variety show. I think it's when he does the one in the prison, isn't it? But he mentions a dog act. And again, dog acts were very popular in variety. And magicians used to have loads of doves stuffed down their jacket and all sorts of things.
And, Billo the performing man.
Is your name William Billaboncourt?
Yes, known professionally as Billo the performing man. I do a dog act, and he just sits there and barks, and I do all the tricks.
Yeah. I mean, a performing chimp was by no means exceptional in those days.
Yeah.
What I thought was quite interesting about Dido the chimp is that the guy who trains him, or is the bloke who's with him, doesn't get a credit anywhere. He's not introduced. He's not in the credits at the end. No. When the credits come up at the
Well, I wondered, because there's someone credited as A. Silvestri, and I can't work out who that might be.
That's the juggler.
That's the juggler.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Dido is obviously, the famous one in the act.
Yep.
He's just a hanger-on, the other guy.
Although he is just the caretaker's monkey.
I was to say, he might be the trainer and the guy might be the act. But,
you never know. You never know. Well, he did well getting him on, because obviously he only had 9p left, didn't he, out of Sid's 100. But I noticed he said, Tony says, how can you do a Val Hancock's Monday Spectacular on 9p? And that was, I think, a reference to the impresario Val Parnell.
Val Parnell, yeah.
And how can I ring up John Gielgud and say, come along and do my show, there's 2p in it for you. Although he does have a little slip on his lines at that point, doesn't he?
How can I do a Val Hancock's Monday Spectacular on 9p? How can I ring up Sir John Gielgud? Hello, Sir John, would you be interested to come into my television show tonight? There's 2p in it for you. His bus fare down here would cost more than that. It's not good enough, Sid. My big chance here, and you've messed it all up. My first big all-star cast, and we've got no stars. What are we going to do for 45 minutes? I can't stand here for 3/4 of an hour. They've seen the jacket, and there's nothing else.
No, a little bit.
Just a little bit. But, again, sort of, I noticed that on this, because you don't very often get your sort of name drops and topical references.
Well, they're both name dropped in other episodes of Hancock's Half Hour, aren't they? Dear Mr. Parnell, will you leave me alone and stop bothering me, or I'll, send the police on you, in Hattie's debut episode, The New Secretary. And of course, John Vere gets a mention in... John Gielgud gets a mention in The Fate, where they're after Larry.
Yes. So after the chimp, we've got Tony coming on in his Astrakhan coat and hat.
Is that our coat, Martin?
Well, I think it might be.
I
Potentially.
think that could be our coat
It's
because
got wear in the same place, hasn't it?
it's got the wear, and that's exactly right.
The buttons are in different positions, but maybe it's been altered over the years. I don't know.
Well, we think there are probably at least three coats because Hancock's Half Hour on TV went from 1956 right through to 1960 or whatever. So no way they're going to have one coat. I think we saw one auction somewhere else once before, but I think there's probably about three. How many survive, I don't know. But what is clear when you look at the different episodes of Hancock's Half Hour, that you can tell some of the coats are different by the wear on them. And there is a bit of wear down the front of this coat on the collar, and it makes me and clearly Martin think that it's our coat that's being worn in this particular episode.
Yeah.
So
it's a really nice, clear view of it in this episode, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I looked at that and thought, yeah, I think that is our one. And he then goes on to announce the three Gordinis, but they haven't turned up. And I did wonder, Gordini was a racing engineer, and it was the Italian motor racing team that was about in the 50s.
Well, there was a famous juggler, I think, from about the 1900 called Gordini, I think.
Ah, perhaps that's where that came from then. I wonder what the inspiration for that.
Horatio, we've got to bring you a trio of continental jugglers. There are three of them in all. The three Gordinis. Unfortunately, they haven't turned up. No matter, I shall do it myself.
And then, of course, he throws his coat down and he's wearing this juggler's costume made from his mother's wedding dress.
Yes, indeed.
And introduces Johnny, Vivian and Mario Fabrizzi also wearing it and says, Mother was a very large lady.
She certainly was.
There's nothing wrong with this. Part of my mother's wedding dress. I'd like to introduce you to my two brothers. Mother was a very large lady. Sorry about these two. It was the best Sid could do at short notice. Got the juggling gear, Lofty?
Now, this act that he then does with Johnny Vivian and Mario Fabrizzi, this is a straight lift from his straight stage show. He did this on stage. I think it might have been written by Ray and Allen, but Johnny Vivian certainly went on tour with Hancock, and it was one of the things that they did. I think it's possible that some of the other things in this show, which we'll come on to, are from the stage show as well. But I think this one is definitely from his live act.
I mean, it's very visual, isn't it? Because there's no lines. It's all mime and reaction of them basically doing, a poor man's job of a juggling act. Doing things wrong because they can't juggle. Throwing things up and catching it again. And
that was the basis of the stage act. He did things, he was an impressionist and he did bad impressions. He was a juggler and did bad juggling. It's a bit like we know and love Tommy Cooper for doing bad magic, and Hancock did it with various other things.
To relate it to a more recent programme, things like The Show That Goes Wrong,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my favourite of them is where he's thrown what looks like a billiard ball, which he's supposed to balance on the top of a stick.
Top of the cue.
On top of the cue, sorry.
Got a hole in it.
but the first one he looks really closely at it and there's no hole. And then Johnny Vivian throws him a second one that has got the hole in it, so he can balance it on top of his cue. So I thought that was my favourite bit on that bit.
And as well, rather than balance it on his hand or his foot or something, he just holds a leg up or sort of balances it or something.
Yeah,
doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, as you said, the real juggler Silvestri comes on and does a great little act to finish it off. That reminds me a little of that very first episode of Starbill that does survive and's on the Hancock's Half Hour Collectibles, when Graham Stark and Tony Hancock come on as the two Gorgonzolas, they're trapeze artists, and Hancock fails to do all of the tricks that he's supposed to do. It's that sort of thing, and I wonder if that was then inspired by his stage act as well.
It could be,
Could well have been, yeah.
I love
Tony, I forgot to tell you, we're not doing the song and dance act.
Well, what are we doing?
A trapeze act.
A trapeze act? Me? 13 stone of star-spangled Hancock? Dangling 400 feet up on a matchstick tied to 2 shoelaces? Oh, no, not me. I might fall.
Well, we've got to break new ground sometime. Now, don't you want to be the daring young man on the flying trapeze?
I'd rather be the frightened old coward with the feet on the deck.
Now, look, it's all they had to offer. Now, come on, pick up your cigar box and let's go. We're on in a few minutes.
This is the BBC Light Programme, Round the Halls. Tonight we're visiting the Hippodrome, Aldgate Pump, to witness the debut of a new act. Here are those well-known tightrope walkers, those noted broadcasting trapeze artists, Antonio and Starco, the 2 Gorgonzolas.
And then your next section is him playing the harmonica. Well, actually, I quite like that he pronounces harmonica that way, much like Caliber is mentioned in the opening of the show, obviously a man of his calibre.
Since my concerts last year at the Royal Festival Hall East Cheam, many times requested to play again in public. So tonight I've written a little piece. I want to play for you on the harmonica.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously, he's got this thing of this great long harmonica that he's got. And Max Geldray comes on, of course, known for the Goon Show.
Yep.
And he said, well, you haven't got the right... You can read music. Well, you haven't got, what's your... Third hole from the end, blow. 5th hole from the left, suck.
This isn't right. It doesn't make sense, my part.
Doesn't it?
No, look, 3 bars in, I've got an A, a B, C sharp, A minor 7, and an F natural.
I never had this trouble with Larry Adler. Show me, where?
Here, this section here.
Yeah, what have I got on mine?
You've got, blow, suck, blow.
Certainly, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that? Haven't you got proper notes marked, like A, B, C sharp, you know, crotches and quavers?
No, I've gone past that stuff. You see, look here. 3rd hole from the left, blow. 5th hole from the end, suck. That's all I need, I know now.
Yeah. That's my instructions. Blow, suck, blow, blow.
And then he says, Hancock says he never had this trouble with Larry Adler, who was an American harmonica player and a film composer. Interestingly, it says Tommy Riley in the script rather than Larry Adler. And Tommy Riley was a Canadian harmonica player. So for some reason that name got changed. And that's the bit I think
Larry Adler was probably more well known.
I mean, I'd not heard of Tommy Riley, but I've heard of Larry Adler. So
we mentioned him on a previous podcast because the subject of the film Genevieve came up at one stage because he did the music for Genevieve, the 1953 film. Because although he was American, he was living over here. He had a bit of a disagreement with the people in America, and he came to live over here in the early 50s.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the this large harmonica that comes on, and Max Geldray says, "Is that a convector heater?"
Mm-hmm. Well then, come on. What are we going to play?
We
Certainly, we're going to play a little duet.
We're going to play a duet.
Yes, of course.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, don't worry, boy. I won't play anything too hard for you. Now, just one little duet. I've had a mouth organ specially built for this particular performance. I think you'll like it. Would you bring it on, please? There we are. Thank you very much. There we are.
What's that?
What?
Convector heater?
No, it is not a convector heater.
Yeah. I mean, good old Max Geldray. I mean, he does his best, but he's not much of a performer. I don't think he was particularly known for his performing ability when he did a few lines randomly in the Goons either. But
they used to take the mickey out of him terribly in the Goon Show.
They did.
Yes.
One of the sort of themes in this is that he says he's not being paid for it, which again reminded me of Morecambe Wise. And
yes,
you had to come on, didn't you? You had to give it away. You couldn't let them think it was me.
I'm not getting paid for it. I might as well have the credit.
Not getting paid? We let you play to the queues waiting outside, didn't we? Must have made a fortune.
25 and fourpence.
25 and fourpence? Well, stone me, that's not bad, is it? 2 days before Christmas?
You know, and the star act's not being paid.
That makes me think of they had Peter Cushing on once, and I quite like Peter Cushing.
To think of, Peter Cushing.
And then he'd appear in every Christmas variety programme asking for his £5 for several years.
Do I know you, young sir? I am Cushing. Well, that's a nasty habit for a start. Yes. Your face looks familiar. Yes, vaguely familiar. Yes.
I've come for my money.
You mustn't say things like that. He's got to last me another 3 months, yeah?
I hate to interrupt you when you're working, sir. You are working, aren't you? And I don't like to bring this up in front of people. The people are watching, aren't they? But it is a matter of my money.
Yes.
I worked with you when you were on the other side.
You mean when I was like this?
When we were like this? No. When you were with the BBC.
Oh.
Is it all right to say the BBC? Yes, it is all right to say the BBC. The BBC.
Bring back comedy.
I'm sorry to be so insistent, but I am not moving from here until I get my money.
Yes, I don't understand.
Yes.
But the point is, we'll have to have a little conference about it all.
Yes,
You see.
well, think about it.
Do your tap dance while we're off. Do your tap dance.
Excuse me. Yes. I can't tap dance. You can't.
Well, can you do anything? I mean, bite somebody's neck. Anything will do.
Can I have the money now? Yeah, and of course it's sort of the same sort of idea as Morecambe Wise with Andre Previn. Played all the right notes, not necessarily in the right order. But I love this large harmonica that he's got for the duet, and it says a little plaque on it saying, "Please return to the tooting Granada," as if it's a cinema organ.
The mouth organ, you can see the plaque on the side. Please return to the tooting Granada.
And it's another great name, isn't it, for the orchestra that's going to accompany Tony, Andre Costa Fortune and his Bulgarian layabouts.
Yes. That's a good one.
Written by myself, the accompanied during this rendition by the assembled musicians, Andre Costa Fortune and his Bulgarian layabouts.
And of course, in said harmonica, he tries playing, he gets his tongue stuck. And a lovely visual gag, Sid comes on with a bloody great saw.
Yes.
I assumed you were going to cut Hancock's tongue off rather than damage anything else, but
and Max says, "Not his tongue." Yeah, and the other bit I like was they're going to play the minute waltz, synchronised watches.
Yes, and then I think the subsequent bit where John Vere comes on as Arnold, the performing man, he does his paper tearing, which is just tearing paper, doesn't make any little shapes out of it. He plays the spoons, which he does by just clinking two spoons together. And then obviously when Tony criticises it, he's like, "What do you mean it's just a piece of steel? You can't get a tune out of it." Calls Tony an idiot.
He says you should be getting a tune out of them.
Ridiculous. Who ever heard of anyone getting a tune out of two spoons? They're ordinary bits of metal. The man's an idiot.
And then, of course, he does his dancing on glass, which is just him dancing on a pane of glass with his shoes on, not dancing on broken glass, because, I'm not cutting my feet to ribbons for you.
I've no wish to be awkward. The dance was quite exciting in its way. It had me going a couple of times there, but I thought it was supposed to be done with bare feet on broken glass.
Charming. I'm not cutting my feet to ribbons for you. The man's a sadist.
So those little moments are quite fun. And I do quite enjoy just the incredulity of them watching John doing these daft little bits of visual.
I think this is Hancock from the stage show. I think it's one of the things he did on stage with Jimmy Edwards, and that was to be like a reaction comic and just stand there and make the faces when things were going on around him. And when he's at first he gets quite interested in the paper tearing, for example. He thinks, "Oh, this is going to be good," and as it goes on, he's thinking, "Well, what's happening here?" And his face just says it all, and it's his face is getting the laughter rather than the other person that's doing the bit of business or whatever. And that's straight out of the Adelphi Theatre.
Yeah, this is absolutely Hancock reacting to what's going on around him at his best and at perfection. And I love the fact that you get onto the two panes of glass and he looks his eyes up to the ceiling, and the reaction on it is just, I mean, it's Hancock showing his ability to be hilarious whilst doing absolutely nothing.
He didn't have many lines to learn, but he had an awful lot of visual stuff to do, which is what stands out. And of course, I found it quite interesting watching John Vere, because I was watching him when he was holding the spoons ready to clonk them together. And if you look at his hands, I think you can see his hands shaking a little bit. And that got me to thinking. I remembered reading something about John Vere, and having checked the Kenneth Williams diaries, John subsequently had some issues, possibly Parkinson's, where he was stuttering and getting tremors and things like that. And of course, he sadly committed suicide by barbiturates in 1961. And he was quite a close friend of Kenneth. So it's Hancock's Half Hour was the last thing he ever did, and The Oak Tree being the final episode that he was in. So he had a sad end, really, but he was a very entertaining performer in these shows, and I think about half of John's shows exist in Hancock's Half Hour.
Yeah, I didn't realise that Hancock's Half Hour was the last thing he ever did.
Yeah,
it's really so it's quite a sad story, isn't it? But I mean, he is absolutely brilliant on doing all these things so badly.
Oh yes, and the fact that he does it so haughtily, he's obviously got a lot of haut.
Yes.
I love the line that Hancock comes out with when John is doing the spoons. He says, I have no wish to be churlish, but I thought we was going to get a tune out of them.
No wish to be churlish. I like
Yes.
that. I just have to use that. It's a good phrase.
That is good, isn't it? That is good.
I've no wish to be churlish about this in any way at all. Yes? I thought he was supposed to get an actual tune out of the spoons.
And then afterwards, as soon as John's finished, Hancock says he's not interested in these Rowton House Ram Gopals, which I thought was great. And Ram Gopal, I looked up, was an Indian dancer and choreographer who blended classical Indian dance with ballet. And of course, Rowton House was a chain of about six hostels built in London by Lord Rowton. Well, actually, to provide decent accommodation for working men in place of squalid lodging houses. So it was a little bit more upmarket.
But then maybe by the 50s it had become a bit squalid if there were...
Well, quite possibly. Quite possibly.
The 1900s.
Yeah.
See that? Now you've offended him. He won't come back. No, we don't want him back. We don't want any more of these Rowton House Ram Gopals. Want some class.
I was just going to say there's several references to Rowton House throughout Hancock's Half Hour on the radio.
Going to sleep on the rope and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Could we just backtrack slightly? Because I think there was one bit on the Max Geldray piece at the end after he'd finished when Sid says, "Well, I got you Max Geldray," and Tony says, "You didn't. We only got Max because he happened to be walking into the Labour Exchange when I phoned them up."
Yes. Another little dig at Max, because he could take a joke.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, what? Well, what about some more of the acts you promised me? I got you Max Geldray. You did not get me Max Geldray. It was sheer chance. Just happened to be walking in the Labour Exchange as I phoned him up.
And then the girls come back on immediately after Max before John Beer. And you get all of the cast then trying to stop them. I think you've got and I don't know, won't be able to see this on the podcast, but you get little Johnny Vivian is pushed by all the rest of them. Well, he's pushed right up to the front of the cast that are pushing them back.
And he almost breaks the fourth walls. He gives a sort of an Oliver Hardy look to the screen, to the monitor.
Yeah, he does, because he's so short by comparison to these presumably quite tall ladies, which I thought was lovely.
And then, of course, you have the Keynotes, who were a sort of a backing band who's first recorded their first single, I think, in the 1948, so 9 years before this programme. And, of course, they start by singing Wake Up Little Susie.
When we did the Blackboard Jungle, we was talking about rock and roll on the BBC, and I think this is what constituted rock and roll on the BBC in 1957. The Keynotes singing "Wake Up, Little Susie."
And of course, in Around the World in 80 Days, Bill rubs himself in butter, and he was chanting, "Oh, I was singing Wake Up, Little Susie. I like Wake Up, Little Susie. It's a nice song."
Nice song.
I don't think he was referring to the Keynotes version. I think he was referring to the Everly Brothers.
And they go on to do Gypsy in My Soul, which I think was, over 100 different artists have recorded that since it was first composed in 1937 or something.
Yeah.
And I think this sort of thing dates it more than the comedy, doesn't it? We talked about a performing chimp, and now we've got these sort of singing groups, and it's quite funny. They've got like two cameras on them, and they all stand there facing the camera, and then in unison they all turn from camera one to turn to camera two, and then they all turn back again to camera one. I just find it quite amusing how things have changed.
Yeah, bit different from Top of the Pops, eh?
Well, exactly. And the guys in this group, there's four guys and a girl, and one of them's playing the piano, although you never see the pianist's fingers on the keys. I don't know whether he's really playing or whether he's doing a Gary Sparrow from World War II when he plays. All you see is from behind the piano. You can't see his fingers on the keys, and I just wonder whether it was something like that. But I might be doing the chap an injustice.
I imagine it was more difficult to mime it to the recorded music than it was to play it live in that era.
Yeah, probably.
And then all the other guys in the group are holding some sort of percussion instrument that looks complete. I mean, it's just the whole visual thing is actually. I just find it so funny, but by today's standards.
Very 50s, yeah, but it was
very 50s.
Very, very 50s.
As you say, there's so many different camera angles, different, as you say, and they're all turning around. I mean, the rehearsal to get that sorted must have taken them ages.
I think sometimes they had a light on the camera that would come on so that the artist could check which camera they needed to be looking at.
I'm afraid, having watched this and heard it several times before this podcast, all I had in my head was "Wake Up, Little Susie."
Yeah, it's a nice little song, though.
It's quite good. It's a
lovely song.
It's a good little song.
And in fact, when you listen to the keynotes version of it, it actually sounds quite good. But I think the television presentation of it, seeing them standing there like that, it just looks so old-fashioned, doesn't it?
Yeah, very quaint.
But then maybe that was the idea. Maybe they wanted it to look quaint because it's meant to be Hancock producing a variety show badly. Maybe,
possibly.
I
think
that's how it was.
How it was done. Anyway, they're not the keynotes anyway, are they? Aren't they the keyholes? As per Sid's introduction. Yes. But Sid's won the day on this one, hasn't he? Because he's told them they're rehearsing for Vera Lynn. So he's got them for free. And then I love the lines where he says they're a quintet, 5 of them. They all sing the same song.
All right, then you'll just have to make do with the singers. Singers? You got some singers? Yeah, 5 of them. 5? Yeah, quintet, all singing the same song. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
And Tony says, well, that's nice, isn't it? Although the script says, Tony's line is, well, that's a help. But it's a great little finish piece, that, I think.
I think he says, if anyone asks, I've told him you're Vera Lynn to Tony as well, doesn't he? Which is sort of reminiscent of the various things where he's told them Tony's someone else, so he has to pretend in various radio episodes. Although I can't think of exactly what one off the top of my head, but it'll come to me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think it's the Emigrant, something like that.
How'd you get them then? Well, they've been singing on the Vera Lynn programme, you see, so I told them this was a rehearsal for Vera Lynn. So we get a song and Vera Lynn pays for it. Oh, you're back in again, boy. You're a genius. Yes. So don't forget, if anybody asks you, you're Vera Lynn. Keels till the stars lose their glory. Ladies and gentlemen, the Keels. Notes.
And then, of course, you have Dennis Chinnery, who comes on as a very intense and dramatic announcer to announce the next section, which is the Three Musketeers.
To put the finishing touches on Mr. Hancock's excursion into big, musical, spectacular shows, we present the entire company in a scene from Alexander Dumas' immortal classic, The Three Musketeers. Playing the Three Musketeers in the scene tonight will be Monsieur Anthony Hancock, Mr. Sidney James, and Monsieur Mario Fabrizzi.
And Dennis Chinnery may be more well known to certainly geeky Doctor Who fans as one of the coloured scientists in Genesis of the Daleks from the 70s, from Tom Baker's second series? I think it might have been his first series, actually.
Don't ask John.
Yeah, well, he's one of the he's got a big part in that particular Doctor Who, and he's one of his big claims to fame. I think there's a 1990s interview of Dennis chatting about his days recording that as one of the DVD extras, which is quite nice because I know what young Dennis Chinnery looked like, but old Dennis Chinnery I didn't. So
he came to one of our events, I think, didn't he? And I think
so.
Back in the day,
he also did some artwork for us because he was quite good at drawing, and he did some drawings of Hancock and things like that we've got in the archive.
Yeah.
I like it when he says we're going to do this little play adapted from a script bought by Mr. James from a street trader in Shepherd's Bush Market.
And so, adapted from a script bought by Mr. James from a street trader in Shepherd's Bush Market, we present The Three Musketeers.
That's nice.
It's great. And as you say, John, it's very, very intense, almost spooky lighting on on him as they announce it.
As he's like he's announcing some great dramatic work, like Orson Welles or something. But no,
he is.
And do you think Mario Fabrizzi took a long time to learn his lines? For
Sacre bleu!
he just had to remember when to say it.
I tell His Majesty to meet here at the Cardinal's Palace. If he finds us here, we're doomed. Sacre bleu! Exactly. I tell you, he must be out of his mind as we're just coming here. Well, it's all the last place I think they're looking for us is in here. And if they do, we got these. Long live the King! Long live the King! Sacre bleu! He's not a very good learner, is he? See that? Ah! Someone approaches. Mon Dieu! Sacre bleu! Oh, shut up, and you.
Although the bit where he did forget to say it and Tony nudged him, that was, of course, in the script.
Oh, of course it was.
I thought it might be.
Yeah. So anyway, there's something very interesting on this because, let's tell the story that John Gregson comes on and does the To Be or Not To Be in the style of Jack Hawkins, who had been taught how to do it on, is it The Elocution Teacher? A lost episode.
Which was earlier
Which
in
was
this...
a few episodes before.
5 weeks before.
Where did you get that to be or not to be stuff?
Oh, Jack Hawkins taught me how to do that. That's the way he was taught.
How much did Jack Hawkins charge you for the lesson?
£20, and he gave me the sole British rights. I'm the only person allowed to do it.
How much did we charge Jack Hawkins? 15 guineas. A dirty twister. That's unethical. That's 3 blokes he's plugged into. Lawrence Olivier was doing it last week.
I know.
If you go to the script, there's something quite interesting in the script. You've got John Gregson, but you've also got Jack Hawkins. So I wondered if the intention was to get Jack to reprise the role. So after the doors open and you've got the monkey behind, Tony says, Jack Hawkins, I've heard of stand-ins, but this is ridiculous. Then he says that he's got a message from the monkey. And Tony says, obviously Mario said Sacre Bleu. Tony says, I'll slosh you in a minute. Reads message. It's from Jack Hawkins. And then at the bottom of the page, there's a little bit that didn't appear. And he goes back to the monkey and says, Oi, monkey, go over to the Hand and Racket and fetch Mr. Hawkins. And no stopping over there. I'll buy you a drink after. But the script has then got John Gregson right the way through it. So it sounds like the thought was that Jack Hawkins would be asked to reprise his role, which I thought was really interesting.
Maybe he was unavailable, so they had to pull some strings and get John in his place or something.
Well, it's possibly. Because when you've got the script and it says, there was the clause that was written in lemon juice.
Yeah, on the back of a sixpenny stamp, upside down.
The message. Sacre bleu! I'll slosh you in a minute. From John Gregson, what did you say? Hang on. Dear sir, my lawyers tell me there is no way of breaking the contract to appear in your show. I didn't realise there was a clause written upside down in small print under the sixpenny stamp, stating I had to appear this week free of charge. Did you do that?
Yes. I wrote it in lemon juice. We got this boy for nothing.
Hasn't done us much good, though. Listen, I consider this a dead liberty. I shall work strictly to trade union rules as laid down by equity. I shall attend no rehearsals, and if you will give me the wire when I am due on, I shall be found in the 4-ale bar at the Hand and Racket. Sacre bleu! You'll get the benefit of my scabbard in your ear hole.
Upside down, he says, we've got him for nothing this time, is in the script. Obviously, they didn't say this time because it was John Gregson. But again, implication was that was for Jack Hawkins.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yes. But then, of course, they do make that reference to Jack Hawkins. And, of course, the performances of a little bit of To Be and Not To Be from Hamlet is pretty similar to how Tony would do it in The Knighthood a year or so later. I think it was later anyway.
To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or whether to take arms against the sea and by opposing end to die.
That's it. We're not doing that bit.
Well, I'm sorry, that's all I know. Well, I'm going back to Hand and Racket.
You are not. We are not. No, thank you. We've been waiting for you all night.
Although he does it with slightly more a touch of the Long John Silvers, shall we say?
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is noble in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, Jim lad.
or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end.
So it's quite a farcical, as you say, pantomime, farcical, whatever, because you've got D'Artagnan appears and it's the monkey in full costume, to which Tony says, don't think it was him. John Gregson is much taller altogether. And then it's little Johnny Vivian with beer and fish and chips that Hancock's ordered.
Supposed to go to the dressing room.
He's going to have rock salmon. And then, of course, it's John Vere to ask if he's here yet. And finally, of course, he arrives.
He arrives, yes.
John Gregson arrives.
And, of course, John Gregson's, I suppose, probably largely a forgotten actor today compared to someone like Jack Hawkins. But he was, he was in things like Whiskey Galore, the Lavender Hill Mob, which I think, was Sid James in the Lavender Hill Mob? I think he was, wasn't he?
He was.
Yes,
yeah.
he was, yeah.
Titfield Thunderbolt, also with Mr. James. And, of course, Genevieve, which I think was sort of, one of the Hancock episodes vaguely reminded me of. But then, of course, he was also in a couple of films later, war films like The Battle of the River Plate and The Longest Day. So, he had a few smaller roles in big films, but light comedies, I think, seemed to be his thing in the 50s.
I've been watching The Longest Day recently. It's on BBC recently. It's on the iPlayer. It's one of my favourite war films. And,
I think he plays a chaplain in that one.
Yeah.
Yes, he does. And it's one of those films that everyone's in, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great film. It's a great film. I wonder if he goes down the Hand and Racket to have a drink before he gets on The Longest Day. And Tony says, what are we going to do till he turns up? Shall we do the juggling bit again? No, that didn't go very well.
Oh, this is ridiculous. How can we do the Three Musketeers with D'Artagnan in the 4-ale bar, the Hand and Racket? What can we do till he gets here?
Let's do the juggling bit again.
No, it didn't go all that well the first time. You got any ideas? Sacre bleu! Oh, go back to sleep.
And then, of course, the girls come back on for the fourth time.
Yes, of course. And, of course, like I think John obviously comes on as Cardinal Richelieu, and then Tony says a little thing to him that you wanted to mention, didn't you, Tim?
I think we all wanted to mention this,
we
didn't
did,
we?
But I'll leave it to
you. Remind me what the line is. I can't see it now.
I've seen you on a tin of red step polish, haven't I?
Oh, that's right, yes. Yeah.
Ha! What a prize! D'Artagnan and the Three Musketeers caught in my trap. Guards, arrest them!
Hang on. You're too early. He isn't here yet.
Who isn't?
D'Artagnan. He's over in the pub.
Well, I'm supposed to come in 4 minutes after the start and arrest you.
Well, he's not here yet. Haven't I seen you on a tin of red step polish? You have to wait a bit longer. Go outside and wait for your cue.
I think we all checked out this red tile polish. It's the red paint you paint on doorsteps.
Red cardinal polish.
A quick Google come out, and Cardinal was the brand of this, and you sent a picture over, John, didn't you? I found another picture advert for this paint.
Yep.
So so that's, I think it's the only real sort of topical reference in the episode or cultural reference that we often get in the radio episodes. And and what I thought was I was quite staggered was how quickly I found it when I searched online for 1950s red tile paint or something, and it came straight up.
It was straight there, wasn't it? And normally with these sort of things you have to go really digging to find them, but that one was quite easy.
Makes me think my grandparents, their bungalow, which was built in the 40s and they bought in the 80s, having not been modernised in the intervening years, the front step of that had a little sort of porch thing, and that had that sort of red paint look on it, so it was probably quite the same brand,
Yeah, we used to paint our doorstep in the red. I mean, a different brand, I think, in my day, but it was a thing that everyone sort of did, and you did it fairly regularly as well, because obviously it used to get chipped and scuffed and whatever. It was the sort of pot of paint you always had in the shed, and did the doorstep every year or two or whatever.
Yes,
certainly don't do it now.
No. You should get your paint out. Get Martin round. He's good with a brush.
Yes, indeed, yeah. And now he's finished the house. He's got some spare time.
Oh no, I've got one more room to do. So I'm nearly there. So, well, of course, having come on, John spots the fish and chips.
It's all right for you. It's freezing out there. Sitting and waiting to come on. Ooh, fish and chips.
Get your thieving hands off there. Come on. you mind. You get your own fish and chips. Go on. Go out and wait for your cue.
Charming. Not very nice. Striking a cleric.
It says, ooh, fish and chips.
Yeah.
Which Hancock immediately says, well, I can't remember exactly what he says, but he pushes him away and says, not for him. But yeah.
Essentially, of course, I suppose John is Cardinal Richelieu to their 3 musketeers, or 4 musketeers, or however many it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 of them, and then, of course, John Gregson comes along as D'Artagnan. Yeah. So it's D'Artagnan plus 3 other musketeers. I think it must be, mustn't it?
I think that's the story.
That's the idea,
yeah.
Alexander Dumas, I think, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And of course, there were film versions of those in the 70s that had Roy Kinnear in it. And of course, one of those films, I think, was Roy's final film because he fell off a horse and broke his hip and died of sepsis or something, didn't he? After the 4 Musketeers.
I must admit, I didn't know that.
Talking about film versions, because they mention Douglas Fairbanks in this, don't they?
Yes.
And he did a silent film version in the 1920s, which seems quite a long time previous to be referring to that, but it must be fairly high up in people's memories at the time.
Yeah, I thought it seems like a very, very long ago reference.
The old Errol Flynn type stuff, isn't it? Because of course they have the sword fight, because I quite like, because of course John Gregson is there under sufferance. He is not going to attend rehearsal. He's going to do it at basic rates, and you can maybe wire him in the 4-ale bar of the Hand and Racket when you want him to come on. And of course, then he's not being very cooperative, and Tony's like, "No, can I have my hats back, please? Can I have my swords, please? Oh, come on, Tony. We'll do the sword fight thing. He's like, oh, all right then."
It's all you're doing, Gregson. If you turn up to rehearsal, we could have that bit worked out. It would have been the highlight of the show, the friendship scene, and you've mucked the whole thing up.
I'm terribly sorry.
Beautiful dramatic bit, all for one and one for all.
Well, I said I'm sorry. Well, come on, let's do the next bit.
No.
Oh, come on.
I'm fed up. I'm not going to play anymore.
Well, it won't take long.
I am not playing anymore. Can I have my hats, please? I'm going home.
See what you've done there? You've offended him. Nothing's gone right for him tonight. I told him to stick to the half hour, but he has to have the girls in the music.
Well, is there anything we can do?
Can I have my swords, please?
Look, Tony. Hanker's old man.
Excuse me, is your friend speaking to me down here?
Look, I'm terribly sorry I spoilt your sketch.
That's all right, doesn't matter.
Let's do the big sword fight scene. Now, that's the highest part of the show. You're such a good swordsman, it'd be a shame to waste it. And you look so good, so stylish. And better than Douglas Fairbanks did.
And then, of course, you get the same music as is subsequently used in Ericsson the Viking for the by Wally Stott, known subsequently as Angela Morley. For that fight, and I quite like that piece of music. It stands out.
It works really well. I mean, I love the way that John Gregson said, "Well, it's a shame not to do it. You look so stylish and better than Douglas Fairbanks." Really laying on the flattery. And again, it's Tony's reaction to all of that, which is, he's quite slow in responding because he's doing all the reaction, which is absolutely spot on. I think it's great. And as you say, he's quite petulant as he's saying, I'm going home because the friendship scene has been ruined, and as I say, asking for his swords and hats back. And of course that was great, the way they got in a muddle, putting their hands on each other's for the friendship scene, and the all for one and one for all.
And then they get stuck, don't they, basically?
Yeah, and Tony said, if you come to rehearsals, we'd have got that sorted.
I think it's credited in the script as a sort of stagehand, but the announcer, Dennis Chinnery, comes back on and tells them they've run out of time. So they then break into the rendition of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas.
Yeah.
Like you do.
Yeah. But actually, just going back to the fight, the sword fight, it's great. Tony needs help to get up onto the table. So the 3 soldiers he's fighting help him up onto the table. And then they step back so he can continue to fight them. So the whole time they're helping him to do the things that he's doing. And of course, when John Gregson turns up and he says, "What's the plot so far?" And I love Tony's reaction. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
Now look, John, pull yourself together, boy. Your mother may be watching. You're on television now. We're doing the Three Musketeers and you're playing D'Artagnan.
Oh, I see. Now, what's the plot so far?
Nothing, mate. Absolutely nothing. We're starting off from scratch with the rest of us.
This whole sketch show, we mentioned it in passing earlier, and we often talk about how Hancock inspired others and how Hancock was inspired by others. But I just wonder, how much Morecambe Wise were inspired by this sketch, because the things that they did in later years, the play What I Wrote, I mean, is exactly in this sort of style. It's not even vaguely similar. It is exactly, isn't it? And I know people often talk about the Sid and the Dead Tortoise thing in Sid's Mystery Tours and say, were Monty Python inspired by that? And you can argue one way or the other, but on this one, I don't. It seems to me it's as though the writers of Morecambe Wise, watched this and said, we must do that.
Who knows? We'll never know if they did a similar thing in their first TV series in 1954, because it was live and never recorded in Running Wild. But it's quite similar as well to The Death of a Duchess, which is the last episode of the first series of Hancock's 1956 ATV Channel 3 series, as it were. Although it wasn't the third channel at the time, it was the second.
But to have a star guest and then to take the mickey out of the star guest and get them out of their comfort zone is exactly what Morecambe Wise did, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is it more so. But The Death of a Duchess has similar moments, doesn't it, where they're breaking the fourth wall and it's sort of the characters doing a stage play but making it, a mockery of it. And obviously you've got Hattie in that, and of course I suppose you've got your Valentine Dial as your villain in that particular one.
Yes, I did it. I loved her. And no one will ever find out that I did it. But you, Hercules Parrot, oh! My little fluff. You're not Joan Whitfield.
And you're not Laurence Olivier. They told me Laurence Olivier was going to play that part, otherwise I would never have consented.
Yes, I heard that Joan Whitfield was going to play the Duchess.
Well, June Whitfield was sort of sold at lot 3, I'm afraid. And Laurence Olivier, he went at lot 5. Bought by Miss Munro.
Well, I think you might have told us.
You got us here under false pretenses.
I did my best. Never been so insulted in my life.
It's disgraceful.
I'm awfully sorry. All companies, it happens in all companies like this, It was the same when I was at Stratford-on-Avon. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story. I mean, I suppose Agatha Christie will have it next week, but there we are.
But I think it sort of works with old Gregson. He does it quite well, doesn't he? I think.
Oh yeah,
superb.
Yeah, absolutely brilliantly. And right at the very end, when they're doing the "I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas," or just after, you see he's smiling. He's obviously really enjoyed being on the show.
Exactly.
And of course, I think even in those days, it had become a tradition to have big names on TV at Christmas doing things like that, and I mean, even in. And that's gone right the way through on the BBC. I mean, we had Christmas Night with the Stars in the 50s as well, when they'd show clips from all the big programmes. That sort of tradition has carried on right through the years, I think. So it sort of fits in. I don't think they would have done this with Gregson if it wasn't Christmas. It's the fact that it's a Christmas show and it's a special, and it needs to have a special flavour to it.
I suppose as well. I mean, this is the only series in which 2 episodes have a special, film actor guest star. Jack Hawkins, and of course subsequently John Gregson. And perhaps they never did that again because of the difficulty in perhaps getting Jack Hawkins back for this one. They thought, well, if we write one around a guest star and they can't show up, then that's scuppered their writing for the week, hasn't it? But it's unusual that. Yeah, they did it in the 3rd series. Didn't do it in any other 4 series that followed.
4, including Hancock 61. Yeah.
But I quite like as well, before they go into the music, of course, he goes to take off his hat. Oh no, that's a wig.
Yes, folks. Oh, it's a hat. It's a wig. I'm sorry. It's Christmas.
And that bit is an ad lib. He that's not in the script. I double checked that one.
Yeah, that's not in script, and I think I mean, his hat falls off 2 or 3 times, doesn't it, earlier on?
It does.
And at one point, when it lands on the floor, you can see him kicking it off to the wings. So I presume the plan was that he would still be wearing his hat.
Yes.
At the end, and of course he wasn't. so he couldn't take it off because it wasn't there, and instead tried to take his wig off. So that was a nice, nice little. Well, I guess it would have been edited out if the program was being recorded. But yeah, I thought it was good.
Well, it was recorded, but not. It was not recorded in advance of being performed.
No, recorded live.
Recorded live. And of course, then Tony's got a little closing line. Yes, it's Christmas, when old winter comes and old Jack Frost.
When winter comes and old Jack Frost, his web spins o'er the ground, there's holly and there's mistletoe, and waits who gather round. And so this Christmas message we send from all the cast. From all of us, we warmly say,
Hooray, this is the last.
Do you mind you unfeeling?
So this Christmas message we send from all the cast, from all of us, we warmly say, and then Sid jumps in with, thank God this is the last. And Tony goes, have you no sentiments? You aren't feeling brute, how dare you, etc., etc., which you sort of get the tail end of Tony reacting. But that's, quite a punchy little way to end the show, I suppose.
Yes, yeah, it's a good little ending. And then you've got the credits, which of course have got the amazing. I don't know who did the drawings on the closing credits, but
no, I don't think we know.
Some great drawings of John Gregson and Dido the chimp. So no, it's a good closing.
Yeah, I quite like the ones with the cartoons on. It's much more interesting than the later series closing credits.
Yeah.
Can I just mention something? A couple of podcasts ago, I spoke about going to Bognor Regis for the Puppet Festival. And I mentioned that the society was sharing a table with Lenny the Lion.
Oh.
And I don't think you'd heard of Lenny the Lion, John. And we had a bit of a chat about Lenny the Lion, who was a ventriloquist doll. And when I was at Bognor, and we had our Hancock puppets on the table on display, and we had all our Hancock stuff, and then sitting next to us was Lenny the Lion. I'll always remember this couple wandered up and were looking at everything, and the lady looked at me and she said, "What's the connection between Hancock and Lenny the Lion?" And I looked at Colin, who owns the puppet, and Colin looked at me, and Colin said, "Well, the connection is they're both on this table," and we sort of laughed. But actually, one of the things I found when looking for this episode is that the pantomime that Hancock was in, called Pantomania, which went out on Christmas Day that year, featured an all-star cast, including Lenny the Lion.
Oh.
So Hancock and Lenny did appear together on TV Christmas Day 1957 in Pantomania.
There we go.
Brilliant. Another connection.
So if I can go down to Bognor Regis and find that lady, I can tell her what the connection was.
There we go. A connection you didn't even know about.
No. It's great, isn't it? Every day's a school day.
Yeah. When you think about the connections, as we said earlier, they're just everywhere. It's a great one.
It is indeed.
One little thing we didn't mention was that Tony was going to send the chorus girls back to 6-5 Special. Do you remember 6-5 Special?
Oh, yes, we mentioned that last time, didn't we?
We mentioned that the other week. Yeah. Another BBC attempt to try to look a bit cool, and in fact did the complete opposite.
Down with a kids show.
Well, it was. I don't think it was really. Yeah, I think it was one of these shows that was meant to be quite hip and everything, but actually wasn't. It was a BBC middle-aged and middle-class attempt to be hip, But,
as close as they got in 1957, I think, isn't it? That's the thing. But obviously, enough for Galton Simpson to work it into a little quip in an episode or two.
Well, a few years later, there was another show on ITV that did actually hit the right note, and that was called Oh Boy. And that sort of changed everything as far as TV music was concerned, because that did have pop groups and stuff. And interestingly, an edition of Oh Boy is on the same ABC Nights In DVD as the Hancock one. So if you buy that ABC Nights In to watch the Hancock show,
I believe it's called Set Your Minds Free.
Yeah, I think that's out of print and almost impossible to get hold of, sadly.
What, the ABC Nights In? because it was a rewind, wasn't it?
Yeah, network.
Yeah. Sorry, network, and network went bust. Yeah,
network DVD. Yeah, so I think that one's really difficult to track down.
Yes, I imagine so. So then, I guess it's time for the scores. So, what do you reckon you'd give that one then, young Martin?
So I start the ball rolling. We talked in the past about when I watch Punch and Judy Man, I watch it with a different mindset to watching Hancock's Half Hour. And I think you sort of have to do the same with this episode. It's if you're going in expecting, your situation comedy that you've been used to, then it isn't. So having watched it and listened to it lots of times, I think it's actually very clever, very well put together, and as you say, probably was a bit ahead of its time. And the Morecambe Wise approach, I think there's so many similarities. I think Tony and Sid really work well together on this, and the little chats and the asides in between work well. So I think it's not going to give us such a high score as the Hancock's Half Hour. I'm going to give it a 7. And I think, I come to enjoy it a lot more having prepared for this podcast. How about you, Tim?
I think what you said there, Martin, was exactly right, that when you're looking at a programme like this, it's exactly the same as looking at the Punch and Judy Man, in that you have to look at it in a different mindset. And the fact is, this is Hancock doing a variety show. And I think as a variety show, it comes across very well, particularly for its time. I think some of it is quite quaint today when you look at things like the musical interludes and Dido the Chimp and stuff like that. But that's how telly was. And to some extent, I miss variety on telly today because when I was sort of growing up in the 60s, and that variety was on all the time. You had all these different acts come on and do different things, and it was great, and I used to quite enjoy it. I'd absolute love to have watched Hancock live on the stage do his stage act. I wish I could go back in a time machine and see some of those things, but you get a sort of a taste of it when you see an episode like this, because he wasn't. But I'm sure most people listening to this, like us, would have got into Hancock through the sitcoms on radio and TV. But he did do other stuff as well. He did start out on radio and on stage, and he worked a very long apprenticeship doing his stage act through the 40s and that before he first found fame on Archie Andrews. He was on all these different shows doing these different bits and pieces, appearing on end of the pier shows and summer shows and Flotsam's Follies and all this. And then, of course, before all that, he did all this while travelling on the back of a lorry in the RAF during the Second World War as part of Wings. So, his background was in all this. This was his apprenticeship. And I think he comes, as Martin said, he actually comes across very well in this. It's very different, of course, to Hancock's Half Hour. It wasn't the elongated version of a sitcom that I was expecting when I got the DVD. But having said that, it's great. I think John Vere, is a great cast member. I love Johnny Vivian and Fabio doing their straight men bit in the juggling act and that. I love the way they come into the sketch at the end. And it's got the big Three Musketeers sketch has got this feel about it that it's live, it's under rehearsed, and you feel things are going wrong that shouldn't be, but actually they're in the script, and there's it's what they wanted. But I think it comes across well. Galton Simpson, I think wrote it, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
They wrote a lot of his stage after they met Hancock in the early 50s. They started writing a lot of his stage material. Some of it was absolutely first class, and so I think that's a long way round of saying I give it 7.
Well, I side more with Duncan Wood, I think, than you said. I think it has some fun moments in it. It's just quite different from Hancock's Half Hour, although it's called Hancock's 43 Minutes in the opening. It's the same amount of Hancock padded with some songs and stuff, it's very visual, which doesn't work so much for a radio podcast. But so I'm sure we'll have some clips, but not of just laughter and visuals. Though some of those moments work quite well. I was thinking I'd probably go for a 4.5, I think. It's probably the lowest score I've given one. This is my least go-to. And although it has some
You're a
redeeming
meanie, aren't you?
features, well, I can't give everything like a 7 to 10. Otherwise, I've got to be devil's advocate now and again, haven't I, Mr. Elms?
It's a good job. It's a good job we haven't got James on the podcast still, because he'd give it about 1, I should think.
Well, quite possibly. It's I would. It's not Hancock's Half Hour, is it? Basically, it's a variety program. It's a comedic version of a variety program, and it's quite fun. But it's not what I like. It's not a sketch show so much. It's a little bit sketches, but yeah, it's the weakest episode perhaps of the television series that they made, and I think that's fair. So for its redeeming features, I think 4.5 is a reasonable point to give it, because it's amusing. It's and as Tim was saying, variety programs are quite rare now. Now we have a variety of channels, we have less variety programs. So I think overall that probably rounds up to around about a 6 between us as an average, which is a few pints more than an armful. So I guess that's about it for this time. So if you want to take it away, Tim.
Why not join us in the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society today? You can find us at tonyhancock.org.uk for all the information you need on how to join.
For just £13 a year, you'll have access to the members area of our website and receive 4 magazines a year by email packed with information on Tony, his shows and archive material.
Members also get a digital-only bonus pages supplement every quarter.
Or you can have the full-colour printed copies of the missing page posted to your door for £16 a year in the UK or £26 worldwide.
We're a friendly and welcoming bunch, so please do join. We have reunion events with archive displays, guest speakers and special screenings.
Please get in touch. We love questions, conundrums and feedback. To do so is very easy. Send your emails to podcast@tonyhancock.org.uk.
Keep an eye on our Twitter or X accounts, the latest news on the podcast and all things Tony Hancock. Our Twitter X accounts are East Cheam Lad and Tony Hancock Appreciation Society. We're also on Blue Sky at tonyhancock.bsky.social.
This was the last episode in our current series. We'll be back with a winter episode in the new year.
For now, that's very nearly an armful, so I'll say ta-ta.
It's sayonara from me.
And this is GLK London closing down for a quick cough and a drag.
Sacre bleu!
And we should say Merry Christmas to all our listeners, and as we say, we'll be back at some point in the new year. So hope you have a good one.
This has been an official podcast of the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society. Unfortunately, it was not written by Alan Simpson and Ray Gordon, whoever they are. The announcer was me, Robin Sebastian, currently appearing in the saloon bar of the Hand and Racket.
Have a jolly holly Christmas. Without 2 orphans demanding all these things from you from your cupboard under the stairs, that's what I say.
And word of advice, don't go downstairs near your Christmas tree in your rope sandals.
Feel like pincushions.
Do you know this is the first time we've done a Christmas episode and haven't mentioned turkey feet and chips?
Well, we have now. This bit will go at the end.
And I suppose whilst we're thinking of food, I've never told you guys what my son says when I'm going to record a podcast. He says, Are you recording a dead fish this evening? Because he spoonerized his podcast into cod past.
Cod past.
So he says, you recording a dead fish this evening?
Bit of dead fish.
There you go.
Haddock behind the radiator.
On the podcast, we'll be discussing...
Started already.
Well, that's prepped the outtakes for us already, John.
Oh, aye, that's aye.
But it's the same every week. It's always the first bit I can't get out.
Just put your teeth in, Tim. That's what you need to do.
Right, okay. They're in.
So I guess that's about it for this time. So if you want to take it away, Tim.
Dear. Right. Ah, found us.
This week.
Well, John, did you have a
You
good...
want me to speak?
John,
Right, okay.
John, did you have a good Christmas?
Yeah, yes. It's March the 2nd now.
Soon be Easter.
Yeah.
Why not join us in the Tony Hancock Appreciation Society today?